Hello friends, today I thought we'd take a nice long look at Mattel's new Heath Ledger Joker figure, and then we'd take a nice long look at our lives and think about what we've been doing with them.
Why so serious?
Well friends, here is Mattel's new Heath Ledger Joker out of the box, and the sculpt on it is decent. I mean, you can definitely tell that you're looking at Joker, and you can tell which Joker you're looking at, but then on the back there's this giant hole, but I mean, I guess that's for an accessory, so I can't really knock the sculpt for that. What I can knock it for is if you look up close, the Joker's coat has all these buttons, and the sculpt on him's a little soft, but they're not too bad. However, where the heck are the holes for the buttons, Mattel? I don't know, that's kind of bad. And then, if we're still talking about his costume, he should have a chain around here. I mean, like, you don't have to make a separate piece, but you could have sculpted something, Mattel, or I don't know. It's not that big a deal. What is a big deal is, Joker's supposed to have pinstripes on his pants, but they sculpted them. Now, usually when you sculpt something instead of just painting it, I'm happy, Mattel. However, stripes on pants are not actually, like, raised material, you know what I mean? Like, you probably should have painted them! But if we want to talk about some positive stuff, sculpt on the head's pretty good. I mean, I can see Heath Ledger in there. I mean, paint's something we could talk about not being so good. First of all, missing painted stripes on the pants there. And then at least the inside of the coat, they got a different shade of purple. It's almost like a maroon red color. It looks pretty nice. The buttons are painted cleanly. But then this shirt here and this tie. First of all, the tie is a separate piece, which, you know, you'd think would be a good thing. However, the tie is supposed to look like it's tucked under the vest, but instead it's like all raised above the vest. So that is not good, Mattel. And then the shirt, the undershirt there. Joker's shirt in the movie has this hexagon pattern thing, and I don't remember him wearing a different shirt in the movie, but like, they just put little speckles everywhere, and then there's like that gap right there. So like, is that supposed to be like part of the hexagon pattern and like continue on? But like, it's just not there. So I'm not sure what's going on with this shirt, like if this is a different shirt or if they just screwed up. But even if it is a different shirt, they still screwed up because the dots are so sloppy, and then the hair is a separate piece. But then look at this, what the heck is that? Just a green blotch on my head, Mattel? And then in general, the white makeup is a little too thin for my taste. I don't think it comes off that way on the camera, but like you can see flesh tones underneath, which, you know, is kind of impressive. Like they did try to get two tones in there, but the flesh tone's like super, super pale. And if we look at the neck, his collar gets up onto his neck somehow, which is not the best. There's no wash or anything, although the rest of the coat looks fairly clean. When we come down to the ankles, what the heck is that, Mattel? It's blue? I'm pretty sure Joker doesn't have blue ankles or blue pants under his pants or blue socks or blue parts of his shoes. Why the heck did you even sculpt it blue? Mold it blue under there. That's really bad. So the paint is not so good. Sculpt is decent. Articulation. Joker has a Mattel ball joint head, which means it can never, ever look up. But it can kind of look down, surprisingly, which is a bit more than Mattel usually can do. He can go all the way around, although it's a little bit stiff, and yeah, he can do it. He can do all the way around. He's got hinge and swivel shoulders, go all the way around, cuts at the biceps, double elbows. Mattel hasn't been doing double elbows since, like, an eternity, and, like, they're finally getting them in their figures. But it is too little too late, because, you know, Mattel is losing the DC license finally, which I could not be more happy about, because this figure is ultimately kind of disappointing. Spoiler alert for the end of the review. He's got hinge and swivel wrists, which is pretty good, although they don't hinge that far because the cuff is in the way, and then the sculpt on the cuff, like, you just kind of solid little draping cuff there. It could have drilled some more material out, but whatever. He has an ab crunch. Can't really go forward or back that much, really. I probably should have tried to do a diaphragm joint. Swivels at the waist. Balls at the hips. They get pretty good range, actually. Pretty good forward, and can kind of even go back. So I'm happy about those. Cuts at the thighs. Ooh, that was a sticky one. Double knees. Again, pretty uncommon for Mattel figure. They're catching up, but it's too little, too late. And then he's got these hinged feet, but they don't have any rockers or any pivot or anything. And then they can't even hinge that much because the sculpt of the pants is a little too in the way. And I mean, maybe the blue is trying to help. I don't know what the heck the blue is supposed to do. It is super distracting down there. So the articulation is fairly decent. The head and the diaphragm could use a lot more range. Well, it's not even a diaphragm, it's an ab, but you know what I mean. So, decent sculpt, crappy paint, and subpar articulation. Welcome to Mattel's world! Joker's packaging is of course the same as all the DC Multiverse signature collection stuff that Mattel's put out. I really wish they'd come up with a name that, like, sticks. On the back we get a figure of the prototype that's looking a bit nicer than the actual figure, of course. Up here it says, "Why so serious?" And down here it says, "The Joker turns a battle for the soul of Gotham City into a laughing matter." Which, he did say in the movie. You think I'd risk losing the battle for Gotham's soul in a fistfight with you? And then he, of course, says, "Why so serious?" So Mattel is actually getting their quotes correct for once. That's a nice change of pace. Up here we got the little logo from The Dark Knight. It looks like it's the logo from the teaser to the movie, actually. And pretty much the packaging's the same as we saw before on all the signature collection stuff. Let's just open it up and see how cruddy it is. Of course there's tape down there, because you couldn't make it as easy as Hasbro does with their Marvel Legends, could you, Mattel? And yeah, there we go. What is this? Can I just open the flap and slide the... Oh my god, Mattel. Okay, so just kind of loosen the tray is the base over there, and then here's the figure. We get card art back, and it's just kind of generic blue with this weird cube little pattern in there, but of course the Joker's got his little backing for that display base, and then here he is in the package, and don't see any twist ties. I don't know what this thing is. Maybe this is to help push him out. No, I don't think so. Well, he's pretty good in there, but thankfully there are no twist ties, and it looks like everything just pops out, so that's a small plus, I guess. Moving on to accessories, the number of accessories you get is also a bit of a plus. First thing the Joker comes with is this handgun. It is a Glock 17, and it has an extended magazine down there, and what is that? What's that say?
Made in China.
Well, that's not that gun from that scene in the film. It's actually the gun that Joker uses to rob the bank in the beginning, and he uses it to threaten the Russian guy when he burns all the money, and he uses it at the hospital too with a little silencer. And it's pretty much always with an extended magazine in the movie, so I don't know why Mattel did this, but you can pull the extended magazine out to look like it's got like a normal clip inserted in there, and then you can just pop it back on in, so that is kind of nice. Let's see how it fits in the Joker's hand. His right hand sculpted with the trigger finger, and you kind of see why they made the magazine removable, so that you can squish the gun into his hand without worrying about bending it all off and stuff. And then you can pop it on in. And yeah, details on it are pretty good. I mean, yeah, it doesn't say Glock anywhere or anything, but I mean, for the scale, I think they did a pretty good job, although I don't think the bottom of the extended magazine here, the clip thing, is supposed to be silver. I don't remember that in the movie. Next up is the Smith & Wesson M76 submachine gun the Joker uses during the scene where he's like, "Come on, I want you to do it. Hit me, hit me." And yeah, the sculpt on it isn't very good. It even says China over there, just like his Glock did. But I mean, I'm sure Mattel has to do that for some sort of legal reason, but what they don't have to do is like miss out on all the details. Like, there should be like a slide thing here, and what's with the trigger? It's like attached to the handle. It should be separate. I mean, how's he gonna get his finger around the trigger and pull it if there's nothing to pull, right? And this handle here is not supposed to be brown. It should be gray, and the whole thing should really be in like a two-tone kind of like, military-ish greenish, and then a dark gray down here. And yeah, it's just not good. Missing so many details. The end of the barrel here, there should be all these holes, and instead Mattel just made a bunch of lumps, and this thing bends. I mean, I guess that's so it doesn't snap off, which is fine, but like, why does it just look like lumpy? If you weren't going to sculpt the holes in the barrel, just like make it straight, Mattel. Hey, what are you doing there? But anyways, let's see how Joker can hold it, and I guess they didn't want to sculpt the tiny trigger so that it wouldn't snap off or anything, although it's really not an excuse since, like, they sculpted it on the handgun, and yeah, they're clearly missing other details on this gun. It's not the best, but at least the Joker can hold it, so that's nice, I guess. Next up, Joker gets playing cards, and he can look pretty good holding them in his right hand. They also fit in his left, but you gotta squish them under the thumb, so I'm not really sure which hand is intended for him to hold them in, but he looks good with either one, although the cards themselves don't really look good. Like, look at this little decal there. Like, you can just barely make out the words Joker. Like, the left is terrible, and like on the right, well, I mean, I guess I can read it, and then like, is there like a gesture? Like, it doesn't really look like anything, and then all the cards underneath, nothing on them. And like the back, totally blank except for the darn like China logo. Like, I mean, come on, Mattel, if you couldn't find a decal for the back of the cards, could you at least, like, paint them red or something? Like, I mean, talk about lazy. Wow. And now, like all the other figures in the DC Signature Collection, Multiverse, whatever, Joker gets this base, and the bottom of it has a blue trim. Why he's got a blue trim when the trim on the packaging is gold and all the other Multiverse figures came with gold on the bottom of their bases? I don't know. It's a Mattel decision to just ruin your collections, I guess. But the base is pretty much the same. And then, of course, he gets this little package of pegs. But there is one thing different about them if we open them up super quick. Like the other figures, he gets the 6 gold pegs, which no longer match the base because this has a blue trim now, and then he gets a little black filler thing for the base. But unlike the other figures we've looked at so far, he gets one little accessory that's been crammed in here because I guess Mattel couldn't find another spot in the packaging for it. And it's his little knife, his why so serious knife, actually. So you can kind of set the knife in the right hand, but I mean, it's pretty loose. It's not really intended for that. I think the left hand is the one really intended for the knife. I'm going to squish it under his thumb right now. Yep, looks pretty good with that there. No complaints really. The knife's got some nice details. I like how you can tell it's like a switchblade type knife. And it says China in there. Thanks, Mattel. Thanks for that, but the knife is good otherwise. Other stuff we get with the base includes the support stand and little card back, which you can't plug in both at once because the support stand pushes the card back, and that's Mattel engineering for you. But on the card back, we see all these little cubes, which were on his packaging card back too, and I guess that's just like the theme of the Signature Collection here is little cubes back there, and we get some art of the Joker. Looks fine, no complaints with how it looks. I do complain about how it plugs into the base though, because it's too close to this thing. Speaking of which, on the back, Joker has a huge hole, and you want to get him into a flying pose? Yeah! Why you need this thing for the Joker? I don't know. I don't get it. Like, you can't even get it to support him on the ground. It's like, would it be a jumping pose? He's not really jumping around in the movie too much. I mean, I like the idea we got like a flight stand thing, but have you made a Superman figure in this line yet, Mattel? Like, you really didn't think this through. You've included darn flight stands with like the non-flying Linda Carter Wonder Woman and Batman Forever Batman, who I guess could jump around with it, and the Flash, and like the Penguin too, I'm presuming, because I'm gonna get him next in this line, and none of those characters fly. What the heck were you thinking? Anyways, I'm not really gonna use that flight stand, big surprise, so I guess I'm just gonna pop the filler part into this base here and then pop it open to store the little cards and the knife and the submachine gun and the Glock, which is nice. And then we'll pop a couple of these pegs in. Again, I've said this before, I don't know why he comes with 6 because he's only got 2 feet and you can move these pegs from hole to hole, so kind of pointless, Mattel. I don't know, I don't think this is a company that really thinks things through too much, honestly. But the Joker does have peg holes in the bottom of his feet, which, you know, surprise, surprise, Mattel does not always do that because they are Mattel. And the base works. I mean, I do like how you can store the accessories, but like, darn it if this flight stand isn't pointless. Overall, the accessories definitely have their issues. I'm glad we got a few of them though, like a good number at least. And now to check out the scale. Heath Ledger Joker stands at about 6.5 inches tall, which is pretty good for fitting in with Marvel Legends or DC UC figures like my Batman over there. Although Heath Ledger's head looks like way bigger than Batman's head, so I don't know, stylistically it's just, I don't know, it's not quite there. And darn it, darn you, Mattel, darn you! And speaking of Mattel, here he is with the DC UC Joker. The Movie Masters Joker, which came out when The Dark Knight did way back in 2008, and see how this guy at least has the chain and the painted pinstripes? And another Movie Masters Joker, which has the darn hexagon shirt underneath. You see what I'm talking about here, Mattel? Do you see? Next, with Mattel's Movie Masters Dark Knight Batman, Two-Face, and Commissioner Gordon. See how he's just ever so slightly bigger than all of them? Like, talk about scale creep, Mattel. So let's put him with some bigger scale figures then, like the NECA Dark Knight Joker and the Batman Begins Batman. The scale's kind of close, right? Last up, here he is with my other DC Signature Collection figures from Mattel. And I guess scale-wise, this is sort of Mattel's attempt to correct the mistakes of the past, because their old Movie Masters figures, like the Joker over there, never quite scaled properly with their main DC Universe Classics line like Batman over here, but these guys do. So I guess that is a plus overall, but it's too little too late, Mattel, because you're totally losing the license now. And one more thing, friends. Do you see? Here they all are in their bases, and in the middle, blue. Why do you do this to us, Mattel? What did the fans ever do to you? So do I ultimately recommend this new Heath Ledger Joker from Mattel, friends? Well, honestly, not really. I mean, yeah, the sculpt on it's decent enough, and it does come with a pretty good number of accessories, but the paint on that certainly has its problems, and you know what they say about Mattel? That they never met an idea that they couldn't do wrong. I mean, I really think that's obvious when you look at the blue trim here, and then the blue on the ankle's just oh so distracting. And for every improvement they tried to make on this guy, like including new accessories, they just got pretty lazy, honestly. So if you don't have any Heath Ledger Jokers, I mean, this one's good enough, but if you got the one from NECA from The Dark Knight, or even the old Movie Masters Mattel made, I'd just stick with those, because I think this guy's just a classic example of Mattel doing too little too late and being kind of lazy. That's what Mattel is. I'm so glad we're getting a new DC license from that other company. What's it called? The Not Mattel? Yeah, that's going to be exciting. Well, until next time, peace out, YouTube.